Right. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about being a purist in VWs and some of the things that are good about that and some things that are just gone way too far and managing that and knowing things and then being able to deal with it. And there's a lot of people that are VW people that are such purists that they have to have everything original and everything has to be the correct parts or you know they're the and that can be a good thing if you're going crazy on something, but part of the problem with that is um, that you lose your enjoyment for the hobby, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. So I'm going to give an example. Like, this is a 61 bug. The taillights on this are the little connectors for the backs of the taillights. You can't see it, right? Those are actually not screw connectors or slip-on connectors, and those are only 61 only, I think. And I believe that's correct, but I'm not sure. But I'm just trying to explain something to you. So these are slip-on connectors, and then a purist would go, "Oh no, I've got to have the correct 61, because all I can find is the screw head terminal ones, and I want the slip-on ones because they're the correct ones, and I want originals, and it's got to have the VW stamp on it, and all this stuff, And what happens is you spend all your time searching for this part, and I'm not going to put them on the car unless they're the right one. It's like, so they never finish their car. They got this car that's half done, never get to enjoy it, never get to drive it. And it's okay to know that that's what's correct part, but obsessing on having that correct part is it's not productive. It's not. I mean, yeah, you could put it together the way it was, and then eventually, what if you found it? Well, that'd be cool. Then that's being a purist and being above the problem of it being perfect. And you're going, okay, I can accept it the way it is, but it'd be nice if someday I had that part. And for instance, I was watching a guy, he's building a 1500 engine for one of these here. He's got his 66 or 64. You can kind of see the idea of what he's doing as a 64 23 window, or 63 21 window 1500 option. And they didn't put them in all the buses, I don't think, in 63. I don't think they put 1500s on them. I think it was optional for the more power engine. So he wants to make the 1500 original. Now, okay, so what looks like a 1500, a 1600 single port, the outside of it looks exactly the same. But he's going through and he wants the original 1500 crankshaft and the original 1500 rods and the original. It's like, dude, you can't see the difference between a 1500 and 1600. Okay, and guys go, and there's a reason why they stopped using those rods. And, those rods are not, the rod bolts and stuff like that, I don't know exactly the specs on them. I just know that there's a reason why they didn't use them. So it's like the rod bolts aren't as strong, and it's a single relief case. So, and oh yeah, I want to make sure the case number's right and all this stuff. I can kind of get it a little bit because, for instance, but the guy's, his bus is in project mode forever. It's never going to get done. I can tell you right now, the bus will never get finished because it's taken him, 10 years to build the engine. So, and he's not working on the body until the engine's done. So it's just like, you got to watch yourself. When you're a purist and you're trying to be everything pure, you need to manage that. You know, I'm telling you this for you, because if you're just constantly looking for stuff to be perfect and pure and everything else, it's not like, finding a pure, perfect woman. It's like, it's just not going to happen, guys. It's just, you're going the wrong direction. It is a difference between knowing what's supposed to be correct and saying, okay, this is supposed to be this way, but I'm okay with this, and then you're above it. You're not inundated with it. You're not sitting there, letting it control you. You're controlling the fact, that this is, that it's supposed to be a 1500 and you got a 1600 in it, and you're okay with that. Things like, I'm going to explain some of the stuff, like on the 1500, like the crankshaft shims are like super hard to find, flywheel shims and stuff like that, all that stuff's, and its reason is like I said, because the stuff isn't any good. It's not very good. The parts they made in the later years were so much better. And on the outside of the engine, you're never going to know, and if you really want to make it have exactly the power it did, you can put the 1500 cylinders on it and have everything else fine. So, compromising from the original and knowing that it isn't correct is okay. There's nothing wrong with having something that's not original. Like, well, I can't afford the German hubcaps, so I'm going to go with Brazilian, because they're available, and maybe they're not now, but I'm going to go, I can't, well, you can't get, real Volkswagen German rubber from VW. So you're getting German rubber that's not from VW. So it is different, just so you know that. If you're thinking, well, I got the German stuff because it's exactly like the original. No, it's not. It's not exactly quite the same. It's like the doors, like on this thing. These are actually like this door rubber. Okay, good example. This is actual Volkswagen German door rubber. Okay. You go to Wolfsburg West and you get the German door rubber, and it's not the same. It doesn't have the little Volkswagen stamp on it, but it's also, the quality is different than what was the original Volkswagen stuff. So, you can go crazy with this stuff. You can go to the purest of the purest of the pure, and you'll never be pure enough. And it's, it's good to know that information, but some people live it, and living it is unhealthy. I'm just trying to let you know it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy to be so literal about your car and about it being correct that, it's basically controlling you. It's telling you, the car is telling you, whether it's correct or not, instead of you just saying, you know what, I know this isn't correct, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the windshield not saying VW in the corner. Guys go out and they get so lividly upset because they pulled their glass out and it had the original Volkswagen glass for the windshield, and they pull it out and they go to put it back in and the thing cracks. It's like, oh my God, really? Seriously? You know how hard it is to get an original piece of glass back in? You're lucky. You're fortunate if it goes back in. So you shouldn't be pissed off because it didn't go back in. You should be like, oh my God, I'm so fortunate. Oh, wow, this worked out great. Not, oh, mother, man, I'm so upset because I couldn't get the original glass back in. It broke. Then that's that glass is controlling you. Instead of you going, you know what? I tried to get it in. It is near impossible to do, and I'm okay with it if it breaks. It's just part of life. You're not going to have everything go original, and it's not always going to work. It's not always going to happen. And because what happens is now, your hobby ends up not being as fun because you're sitting there, stressed out over it. It's like, like I said, it's controlling you. It's telling you, that that I need to be this way, instead of you telling it, you know what, I'm okay with you being wrong. And so, for instance, like things like the key, guys go, oh, well, I gotta have original door handles, and this car was a SE, key, and I want a matching SE ignition and door handle, and it's a 1 year only, and I'm not putting the car together until I get, listen, put the other ones in, drive the car. Hey, you go to shows for a while, it gives you something to do. You go around and you know that it's wrong. You know that it's not correct. And you go to the shows and all of a sudden you run into the right handle. You're like, all right, cool. Maybe I'll put the original one in it, and that makes it fun. That what's original, what's supposed to be there, but being okay with it not being right. And then all of a sudden you find the right one. Then it's fun. Then it's different. But when you're stressed out and you're trying to make everything original as a purist, that to me is that's just not fun. I mean, you're taking the fun out of the game, and you're ruining it for yourself. So sometimes being a purist is there's a difference between being a purist and being a purist that's okay with stuff that's not right. And like guys that go around, another thing, like they go, oh, gotta have the date stamp correct on my rims. It's like, really? You can't see it for it's be underneath the hubcap, but it makes you feel better because it's original and it has the right date stamp. Put it together, put the car together. Man, let's say you're going to a show or something, you're going around swap meets, you got the car all done, it's all together, but all of a sudden you run into the right date stamp wheels. Then you buy them. Then you did it. If you're really that crazy about it, to me, that's just like wrong. But if you really get the car done and then play with this stuff, get the little pieces as you go. I mean, then it can be fun to find those things. Like people go with these beauty rings. They go, oh no, it's not a 66 date stamp. It's got a 65 date stamp. And so they don't want to put it on the car. It's like, Jesus Christ, put it on the car, enjoy it. Man, for a show and you see the right one and you go, wow, those are cool, those are original. Then you go and have it fixed up and trimmed, straightened and all that, and you put it on your car and swap out, sell the other one to someone else. And then it can be fun. It's not, if you are a purist and you're trying to be one, like, oh, I want to have the, I won't put the bumpers on unless they're the pointed bumpers for my 66, because the rear bumpers are supposed to be pointed on this bus, but I got slash, I'm not using those. I'm going to put the original, or I'm not putting it on. Come on. Put it together, get them painted, get them powder coated, whatever you're going to do. Put them on the bus. One day, what if you find the original ones, and then gives you something to do when you're out and about, but in the meantime, you've got your car done, and as a purist, that it's not right, but you're okay with it. You're above it. You're like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with those not being original. That's the fun way to be a purist. The other way is irritating as hell. If I run into a guy who's a purist like that, I don't want to talk to him. To me, it's gross. It's like you're ruining the whole thing. And this is why a lot of people don't want to go to VW shows, or they don't get into Volkswagens. I mean, it's understandable because a lot of the aftermarket parts don't fit, and sometimes it's nice to have the original ones or whatever. But if you have to have that or you're not going to do it, then to me, it's like, the fun's gone. You're just missing it. You're missing it. You're not driving anything. You're not enjoying your car. You're not going to a show or whatever. I'm not saying that I use mine as a daily driver. I don't. I will not use these cars as daily drivers. It's just too dangerous. And I've talked about that in other videos. And people go, "Wow, really? You don't drive as a daily driver?" It's like, nah, I'm okay living. I want to live. I don't want to die in my VW. And they're okay. They're great to drive a lot of places, but as a daily driver, it's just not. It's really, there's a variable of a lot of different things. Parts are not available. There's, you if you break down, where are you going to go? Oh, you're going to run into O'Reilly and grab a what? No, they're not going to have it. There's just so many things that are just not good about using it as a reliable daily driver. You're not going to be reliable. You're never going to be reliable. It's an old car. You're not going to be reliable. So have another car you use as a daily driver, and use your Volkswagen as, you can drive it to work a few times or whatever. You can drive it to the movies or whatever if you wanted to. But not as a everyday reliable daily driver, and they're too slow. It takes forever to get somewhere in an old bus, especially these old buses. That's one of the reasons I stopped using it as a daily driver years ago when I had my other buses. It's like, it'd take me an hour and a half to get somewhere that would take me 45 minutes in the car. So it's like, well, do I really need to waste that much time because I want to drive an old bus? No, not really. But there's times when I don't mind. So, having it as a second car is a great thing. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.